Hi, I'm Alex Elle, and I write books for a living. The Hey Girl podcast was created with sisterhood and storytelling in mind. Hey girl.
Hey girl.
Hey girl.
Hey girl.
I'll be sitting down with some phenomenal women to discuss love.
I believe we grew distant out of love of some type, I don't want to hurt you.
Loss.
Really don't know what's going to trigger that feeling of grief in any moment.
And a topic very important to my work, self-care.
Freedom is self-care. It's not about pedicures, it's not about clothing, it's not about trips.
Join us as we journey through sharing together. Today, we are sitting down with Shizu Okusa to talk about her path to entrepreneurship, Jrink, self-care, and everything else in between. I hope you enjoy. This is Shizu's story. Hey, girl.
Hey girl.
Hi, Shizu. Thank you so much for being with us today. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you.
I'm excited to see you. I haven't seen you in so long.
No, it's been like
A long time.
a long time.
And a lot has changed and shifted, and I'm really happy to share your story with the Hey Girl listeners. So before we dive into our juicy conversation, can you share a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Sure, yeah. It's always an interesting question to answer, right? So my name is Shizu Okusa. I'm the founder of Jrink and CEO of Jrink. Before that, I'm also a deep down farmer. My mom is a photographer, so I also take some photos on the side, ex-finance. But yeah, I've been in the district for about 5 years now, building Jrink from the ground up, and it's been a wild experience that you've really witnessed.
I've seen it. I've seen it from the start, and it's crazy. 5 years? I don't know why I thought it was so much longer than that.
It's been, I feel like that's really long.
I mean, it is long. I mean, but that just comes to show, man, we met right when I had met Ryan, because we've been together 5 years now.
Yeah.
So time has flown and Jrink has exploded. And I want to talk, I'm so excited. I want to talk about how you got to Jrink. So let's start from the beginning. You mentioned ex-finance.
Yeah.
How did the finance corporate world shape your life and then shift you into entrepreneurship?
Yeah, it's a good question. I never say it's linear. I started on the trading desk of Goldman Sachs doing prop investing. So that's polar opposite. It was distressed investing in broken businesses and trying to own them. And then, the metrics of success there were just so backwards. And it's it could be infinite when you ever feel worthwhile or ever feel successful in any way. And I hit rock bottom. I was just eating really bad, drinking a lot. And I think drinking is a culture that's breeded in New York in so many ways. And but when you hit rock bottom, I think you're able to see more clearly there's only going up from there.
Right.
And anyhow, so I think, that rock bottom and then opportunity really presented itself where the desk was kind of falling apart. And there was new regulations and, everyone was kind of hating on finance. And I loved it. I did. And I learned a lot. But I actually quit and I moved to Africa out of all places.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah. So I lived there for about a year.
Wow. So you just quit and decided I just need to take a breather.
I needed to get out. There was a broken relationship I had at the time that I was doing really broken long distance. And then there was work stuff. And I was like, God, I just need to get out of here and learn other cultures, see how other people are so happy without much money at all or fame or LinkedIn or any of that. So I lived in Mozambique.
Fame or LinkedIn. Oh my goodness.
Any of that.
That's the truth. Yeah.
Or social media. I had a Nokia with the snake game.
Oh my goodness.
I know. It's the best. The best. Anyhow, yeah. So I lived there for some time working with entrepreneurs, farmers, helping them raise money for tractors and capital raising, 'cause that was my experience. And then I moved to Bali for 2 months. Oh. And I got my yoga teacher certification, and there they teach you a lot about Ayurveda and medicine and healing really from the inside in. And rock bottom is really that place to learn and open up all those dark things and bandages that you always put on. Moved back to DC just to move back to North America. I landed a job at the World Bank where I kind of bridged my finance from Goldman with my emerging markets in Africa. And then in DC, you know, I think I just started juicing from Bali, the recipes from Bali and herbs, and there was no one doing it here. And I was like, God, like this really has to be a thing, but it has to be also cool and like stylish and approachable.
Right,
and
right.
So much of healthy is also synonymous with hippy dippy, and it shouldn't be. And I feel like healthy people often have to sacrifice style for health, which it shouldn't have to be. So anyhow, that kind of was the beginnings of it.
And I remember feeling that way about Jrink. Like, these are cool. Like the branding and the mission and the brick and mortars. It was just cool and easy, and it didn't make you feel overly intimidated either. It was just like, come and try and see our ingredients right there for you to see. You can pronounce them and just give it a go. And I think that really is what kind of made me a part of the Jrink family, just really wanting to experience a different way to get my greens specifically, but also to tap into that health food space without me feeling like bored. If that makes sense.
No, totally. And it has to be approachable. And ingredients should be pronounceable.
Yes.
You know, why are things so sweet nowadays? I don't get it. I really don't.
Even though I just texted you, like, I want a green drink, but I want it to be sweet and green.
I mean, it's got to be easy, though.
Right.
You can't just have, like, 10 broccolis in your mouth. Like, you can't.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's really interesting, your transition from corporate America to Jrink. So you mentioned, you kind of gave us the rundown of how Jrink came to be, but how did Jrink like start to expand? Because you had 1 or 2 stores, and now you guys are popping up all over the place. And you had a business partner in the beginning too. How has that transition been?
I think expansion was just coming from Wall Street, I guess. Like, we had a vision of like, what do we want this to be? We don't want to just have one shop and, you know, just make juice. And like, wellness means so much. And over the years it's developed. I mean, today we launched food in bento boxes. Like, and now at our
Congratulations.
Stores, thank you. They're like Japanese, like pretty, functional. And we're also, you know, doing so many new things now with like the apothecary coming. But anyhow, you know, I think expansion came from this realization that we didn't want to just start with one shop. And I think ambition comes up and like you want to do more and you're like, is this everything? But it's such a balance. You know, we've really expanded sometimes too quickly and then we've had to scale back. So it's this yin and yang that I think you just have to really be cautious about and make sure that you have A, the right team, B, that your customers really want you there. And we have investors, you know, and I think I'm so thankful for those investors that have been really good and patient ones, because you can have bad investors, definitely.
Yeah.
But I owe it to the team. I really do. You know, I think they've stuck around in the vision, and while not everybody has been with us over the 5 years, they've definitely left their mark and everybody remembers them. So, but, you know, to your second question, you know, with Jen, or we're still really good friends, and we met, you know, at Goldman, and you know, life happens. And I don't think you ever plan for that when you start a business. And everyone says find a co-founder, but also it can get complicated. It's more complicated than marriage.
Right.
You know, we're still kind of working through those things, and I think it's always going to be a work in progress. But empathy combined with communication, combined with just being like mature about it and not greedy, I think is like the solution for any kind of like conflict and resolution. Yeah.
Absolutely. Can you give us a little background on your cultural background and your parents and how they feel about you being a business owner now versus being in that finance world?
Yeah. I mean, I think my parents are different than my sisters. So I have 2 sisters, and then my parents live in Vancouver. They're both like immigrants from Japan. So my dad's from Tokyo, my mom is from Osaka and like Kyoto area. They're very traditional, very linear paths of like, okay, you're either a doctor, or you're a banker, or you're an accountant, like, you know, do something normal. Right. I've always just been the wild card. Like, I left to Africa, and then just like, Shizu, just don't die. Just don't die. Just don't, you know, hit that rock bottom. Right. So their standards were like, okay, you're good. You're fine. Yeah. My sisters, on the other hand, I think, and I love them to, you know, we love each other, but I think it's one of those things where I look back and I'm like, oh, I wonder if there's this projection piece with like family where sometimes, you know, it touches this inner deep side of themselves that they can't do. And then when they see it in other people, you don't know whether to support it or whether to love it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that comes from a place of, again, projection or just worry. I'm not sure, and I still can't like figure it out, but I wish that in the beginning people had more faith
in you. Yeah.
Yeah. But that failure and those things like drive you, right?
Yeah.
It's like you only have upside to go.
Yeah. I mean, I can definitely relate to that. And I've shared this on the show too. Like when I stepped into entrepreneurship and being a writer for a living, my parents were not on board, and it was rooted in worry.
Yeah.
And, I had to either fly or fail, and then I had to show that the proof was in the pudding. Like I had to stop talking and convincing and really just go for it. And that's what happens with entrepreneurs. Like we don't always have people standing with us until they see that they can.
Right.
And I wish that wasn't how it is, but that just can be sometimes.
No, totally. And then I think it comes from a place of worry. I think everything comes from either love or fear.
Mm-hmm.
And we're driven by those animal instincts.
Yes.
But most times it's fear, and I wish it wasn't, but the world breeds that.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't.
Yeah.
We're all the same people.
Yeah.
We really are.
Yeah, it's true. Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about how self-care plays a role in your life. You mentioned going to yoga teacher training and really diving into yourself, peeling off some Band-Aids, peeling back some layers. What did you learn about yourself when you were in Bali?
There's this principle called ahimsa. I'm not sure if you're familiar.
I'm not familiar.
Ahimsa means like no pain on others, and that also means no pain on like yourself.
Mm-hmm.
We had to like write down a journal at the end of kind of like which principle in Ayurveda or in yoga do you really take to heart, and that was one of them. And I think part of that is just like watching the language that you have for both yourself internally in your head, which so often are just false beliefs, and then also the language that you put onto others. And so I think self-care comes with like how we talk to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just being more gentle about it.
Mm-hmm.
And journaling has helped a lot. I have the 5-minute journal, which I think
it's wonderful.
Yeah,
I
it's
have
great.
it too. Mm-hmm.
It's great. And it's just so, it's like you did a moment for yourself.
Yeah.
I don't wake up with an alarm clock. So that allows me to like just like wake up at like 8:30 or 9.
Good.
Yeah. So it's always nice. But I also go to bed at like 12 or 1.
Mm-hmm.
But I think self-care just means knowing what you can control and controlling it well, and knowing what you can't control and just surrendering to it. Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm glad that you said that, as far as like not waking up with, an alarm and really just letting yourself kind of rise. I mean, that's another privilege that we have as entrepreneurs is kind of setting our own tone and our own schedule. And recently I've been on 14 days of meditation, 14 consecutive days of meditation, because I was just starting to feel frazzled, and I stopped sleeping with my phone on, so it's on airplane mode.
Oh, wow.
I haven't been checking it until I get Charlie off to school and I get home with Isla and really get deep into our day. And I was so worried about the whole airplane mode thing. Like I was going to miss something, or someone's going to need me, or there's going to be an emergency and I'm not going to be able to be reachable. But it has really helped set the tone for my night and set the tone for my morning.
Oh, great.
And, I have an alarm, but I've been waking up before the alarm goes off.
What time do you set it, the airplane mode?
I set it around 9:45, 10 o'clock. So after I do my nighttime meditation.
Yeah.
It's been really, really great. And the alarm aspect, it jolts you awake, right? So you don't want that. But I have been waking up before the alarm and being able to turn it off before it goes off and just easing into my day.
Yeah.
And as someone who works in the self-care space, who writes about it, who is a business owner, I feel like it's very important to tap into myself, because as entrepreneurs and just women in general, we're constantly pouring into other things and other people because that's just what we do. I'm a mom, I'm pouring into my kids. I'm a wife, I'm pouring into my husband. Business owner, pouring into my business. You run all these different stores around the city, and it's like, how do we turn inward, right?
How do we fill it up?
How do we fill it up? How do you fill yourself up these days? Are you filling yourself up these days? Maybe that's a better question.
It's an interesting question. Like, I think sometimes I know my body where, like, if I make up in the middle of the night, so last night, like, I woke up like 5 times, and I don't know why. I have crystals around my bed now, which is like this new test that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Which is like its whole other thing. But how I fill up, I mean, I think laughter helps. I'm a severe introvert. Like I don't like to surround myself with people after like a certain time. And even on weekends, like I say, all right, like one outing with like a friend or dinner or drinks or something, because I want one day just to do nothing.
Yeah.
And but that fills you up, I think, is like when you're not pulled in so many directions and constantly distracted.
I think what a lot of people are going to want to know too is being a business owner, having these brick and mortars, having investors, having to really show up for your business, your staff, and these investors. How are you able to balance it, and how many times have you failed before you got it right?
I mean, I still fail all the time. That I find, the English language is really harsh. Do you ever find that?
I do, but I have shifted the narrative with quote unquote negative words like failure or, stress or what have you, because we need failure to succeed.
Sure.
But yes, I do find that. Is there another word that you would have used?
I don't know. It was interesting. I was having a conversation maybe in my own head or something about on text when you use the words like good and bad. It's so polar, black and white.
Yeah.
In Japanese, we have so many more middle words that
Share some of those with us.
Ikigai, which means like it's so hard to explain that in English. There's not a good way for it, but ikigai means just like you live for work. And it's not about stress. It's a lifestyle. Like you just are never happy with the status quo. And while that can kind of come across as tiring in the English language, in Japanese it's a very positive way. It's a positive, like, every day, let's just like continue to go on. It's slow improvement, slow improvement, slow improvement. But, ikigai is like one of them. Konjo is like another. Konjo means like strength and determination. But it's like a blend of multiple words versus just like one extreme.
And how have you learned from your failures in business? Because a lot of entrepreneurs or wannabe entrepreneurs don't try because we're scared, fear of that failure. Instead of thinking of it as, okay, if I have to fail to learn how to do things differently, or if I need to do things differently, I have to fail to succeed.
Right.
Instead of looking at that as a lesson and growing and blooming in this wilting process and coming back to yourself to try it again, they just don't.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know if you had any insight on that with your own personal experience.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think Ahimsa would say, if you're unhappy, you're expecting other people to make up for that unhappiness. It's a balance, and it's not fair to other people around you that you love to put that kind of negative energy on them for days and days. I mean, most people don't start their businesses until they go through this process of like 6 months to a year or forever. Can you imagine the bystanders to that? Oh my God, it's a lot. Just don't do that. I mean, it's not as easy. I understand that. But I think that's also self-care, is to know and be aware of that. So I think for me personally, I mean, there's times where I don't make a decision, and like when you start making decisions all the time, you start going into paralysis. And you're like, all right, this has to stop because my team is going to go crazy. Keep changing my mind. It's not fair. So I just made a decision. And there's so many of those kind of little failures where I think it can add up on other people's lives that you just have to be aware of. I mean, business failures, we've definitely opened stores that we've regretted in the past, but we did find new customers through that. So I think it's just looking at different things in a different light.
Yeah. And just lessons, right?
Yeah.
And learning from the things that may not have worked so well.
Yeah.
And not being scared of that, because in business and in life, we often think that things are linear, right? That things are just like even keel, or we want things to be linear.
Yeah.
And they're not.
No.
Their healing isn't, self-care isn't, owning a business isn't, loving the people around you isn't. Everything is so ever changing.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do we settle into being comfortable with that and that discomfort? So that, I mean,
I don't know.
No one knows.
I have no idea. Like, God, teach me. Yeah.
I don't know, and it's crazy. I had a book signing last week at Politics and Prose at the Wharf, and it was so fun. And one of the people in the audience was asking me a question about their life that I don't have the answers to. And and it took me a while to put those words together, but I said, I tell my students and I tell the people that I connect with, that I don't have your answers.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
And I think, and her face kind of lit up, but kind of was like, oh, damn, then that means I have to do the work, because we have to do our own work.
Yeah.
And whether it's in business or in love or in our relationships, romantic or platonic, we have to show up and do the work and find our answers. Like, my yes isn't going to be your yes, right?
Totally.
I think, people just need to remember that, and they need to own that they can lean into themselves and find their answers.
Absolutely. But it's also an upbringing, I find, for enough people to tell you that it's okay to listen to your own self and follow your gut. Because so many times we think our parents are kind of like, we should listen to them, we should follow the direction all the time. And you need some positive affirmation and good energy around you.
Yeah.
So I think, to your point, like community, and like also looking at like your current community to say, like, is this like the community I want to be around, and like it's going to elevate me?
Yes.
From a chakra perspective, even, right? Like,
Yes.
think about the 7.
Yep.
And you want to surround yourself with people that bring you higher. Yeah.
Absolutely. Do you wear contacts? Well, I do. And I was so excited when I heard about Simple Contacts and what they offer. Let me tell you about them. Simple Contacts is the most convenient way to renew your contact lens subscription and reorder your brand's contacts from anywhere in just minutes. So here's how it works. When you need to renew your prescription, it takes 5 minutes. All you need to do is grab your phone or your computer. Simple Contacts offers a 5-minute vision test. It's reviewed by a licensed doctor. You receive a renewed prescription, and you can reorder your contacts. All you need is your current contacts, an internet connection, and 10 feet of space. So basically, you're taking your vision test right from your device. Simple Contacts is awesome because the vision test is self-guided and takes under 5 minutes. It only costs $20, and when compared with an appointment without insurance, that would cost you over $200. In addition, Simply Contacts has been rated 5 stars over 3,000 times in the App Store. And lastly, with summer right around the corner, there should be no reasons why you don't have your contacts on hand. Use Simple Contacts to update your prescription and stock up for the summer. If you're interested and you wear contacts, Simple Contacts is offering $30 off with the code HeyGirl at checkout. Go to simplecontacts.com/HeyGirl to get your $30 off. Again, that's simplecontacts.com/HeyGirl. Please keep in mind, this isn't a replacement for your periodic full eye health exam. Simple Contacts is offering you $30 off at simplecontacts.com/HeyGirl. Again, that's simplecontacts.com/HeyGirl for $30 off your order. What has Jrink taught you about community inside of work and outside of work?
Yeah. All my friends that I think here now are kind of people that I've met through Jrink. I mean, and I guess this is like, it's both a sad thing and a beautiful thing, I think, is that like all my friends here are from Jrink. And like, this
I think
is
that's
a
amazing.
life.
Yeah.
It's a life.
Yeah.
So, I mean, DC's been really good to me. I've met some amazing people here. I wish there were more women entrepreneurs and people that, could also get funding with that, because I think so many people are kind of stuck in like starting their business, but then they don't know how to really grow it from there. And like the inflection point of like, all right, what's next? And people to back them for that. So, but I wish the community was stronger.
What do you think Jrink could offer the community in that regard?
We go internally to ask, like, how are we really different from others and from the community aspect? Mm-hmm. And I think for us is, we are women owned and we're like 90% female. And we're like, we've hired guys in the past, but like, and we have one, Rob, who's great, but like, and Jack, but like most people, I don't know what happens, but like we have so much feminine energy in like a beautiful way.
Yeah.
But that forte and also being able to bestow lessons or any kind of help that they might have towards starting their business, I think I would love to be more helpful and resourceful. So where I can, whether it's panels and speaking sessions, I definitely try to give back.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing. How is it being a woman in business and dating?
It's not easy. I've met some 2 wonderful men in the past, few years since I've started Jrink, and they've really watched me, seen my highs when they meet me. because that's the time I usually start dating.
Mm-hmm.
And then they've seen me in my real lows, like crying, can't get up, depressed for days, and like not responsive and not functioning at all. Like, what happened? And like, what happened in the highs and lows of business, right?
Right.
But so much of my mood is like on basis of the business's success. And I know that's so not healthy. Like, looking at your numbers every day is probably not the most healthy thing, or even like looking at it multiple times a day. So I think I need to have more self-control in that respect. But, you know, dating, this community is so small.
Yeah.
Like, and there's like 5 Asian people in the city. Like, if I'm on Tinder,
Right.
people screenshot that and then they send it to others, and I'm like, what, really? Or I'm like, wow, that's my broker. And it's just like, I can't.
Right.
But then again, we're like, let's just be real human beings about it and laugh about it, because we all want to date.
Right.
We want to meet someone. We all want to be understood. We all want to have like a deep friendship with somebody. And I think that's where it comes from. But I have not, I'll be honest, like prioritized like finding a partner in my life.
Yeah.
And I think that's because I think there's 5 things that people can like integrate into their lives, and 3 can be prioritized. So that's like work, it's love, it's health, like your own health and self-care. It's like hobbies, and then family and friends. And for me, family and friends, my own self-care right now, and work is like 3 priorities. And I would hate to be that person that drags along somebody else into a thing that I'm just not prioritizing, and they might be.
I love that. That's a really good answer.
I hope so.
I love that.
I
Guys,
wish
do you
I
have
had
your
it
pens and
figured out.
pencils out? I mean, pens, notepads, pencils, pens, all the things, writing utensils, because that's good. And you're giving us a lot of gems in this. I can't wait to listen back.
Oh, hopefully. Hopefully, yeah.
Are there any traditions that you've brought to Jrink or to DC from your homeland or from your parents? Because I know that you grew up in Canada, right?
Yeah.
So are there any certain traditions that you kind of like settle into that make you feel closer to home and closer to family?
I think I gave you some of those little cups that my mom made.
Yes,
the
and I
pottery
still
ones.
use
Yeah.
them.
Oh, yeah. And I still have like 30 of them, and I don't know what to do with it because they're not really on brand. I hate to say this to my mom, and they're very vintage. But I think some of them are just having heirlooms from my family in my house, and that includes like incense to crystals to eating the foods that I think my mom and my parents have just like passed on for generations. And that includes like, and I joke about this with my team, like my mom should just be the chef for like what's new and trending nowadays, like adaptogens. That was so 100,000 years ago in Japan, right? But you know, we've been taking reishi for years and shiitake mushrooms for years and eating that. But those things are the most grounding, is like broths. Like wakame-based broths, like seaweed ones, shiitake-based broths. Dashi is like a big one, rice, and you know, all her dishes are around everywhere. And then every morning is like a matcha ceremony.
Yeah. Walk us through that.
Yeah.
Please, if you don't mind.
Sure. So my aunt is a tea ceremony instructor in Japan.
My goodness.
Yeah, and so she also does ikebana. So ikebana is a flower arrangement, and then also teaches matcha, like tea ceremony. And I think most people don't think that or don't understand that matcha ceremony is actually not about the tea. It's about the ritual, and it's about the whole. It's a meditation. It really is. Like they're almost like bowls. They're not even cups. And you put the powder in. It's always ceremonial, so look out for like bright green hues. And then you have the whisk, and so much of that is like an art. And then when you serve it to someone else first before you even drink it. So you take the bowl, and then you add the powder, and then somebody will serve you hot water. You whisk it, and then you have to rotate it and then serve it. It's every small movement that I think makes all the difference. And then you get like a little wagashi, which is like a little treat to go with it. And everybody eats it together. But it's usually like a 20-minute ceremony.
Wow.
And you just kind of like, it's a meditation. So you can't really do it alone per se. But what I do is just make the matcha and then in my mom's bowl. And then take that, every morning, which is like so much more of a sustainable way to have like your caffeine without the spikes. And then I do add like our almond milk and a little bit of raw honey that my dad, He's a beekeeper.
Oh my goodness.
So did I ever give you a bottle of our honey?
No,
Okay,
but
well,
I
owe
would
you
love
one.
some.
I owe you one. So my dad, he's a beekeeper and farmer now. After he used to be a Japanese landscaper and like gardens.
Mm-hmm.
So he retired and he still has his farm because we used to hold just like his excess trees there.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, he has like honey. He makes like miso and like all those umeboshi, which is like those pickled plums.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. I love hearing about other people's culture and traditions. And I've been telling Ryan lately, because we don't really have any in my family.
I'm sure you do.
We
Something.
we don't.
It's okay.
No, we don't. But I love hearing about people specifically who are not from the United States.
Yeah.
Or who are children of immigrants, because there's so much ceremony
Yeah.
in certain traditions.
Yeah.
And it just, like, when you were telling me that, I was getting chills. Just like, it's a meditation. The
Yeah.
tea is a meditation. You're offering it up to your community. You're eating over food and fellowshipping over food. I love that. I really, really, really love that. Let me take that back about my family. I'm trying to think. We have a very small family. So we don't have, cultural traditions per se, but we do love to commune over food, and holidays are big for us. So
Yeah.
Christmas, Thanksgiving, birthdays. So in that regard, yes, but nothing like what you just mentioned. And that just gives me
You can start them.
I can. And that's what
Yeah.
Ryan said. We can start our own. But I
Yeah.
just think that is absolutely beautiful, that so many different cultures and traditions live in this world, and we're
Yeah.
able to, take pieces from here and there and listen and bring them home with us. I just think that that's magical and wonderful.
Thank you. It's funny is like, I think when I was young, that I'd be so ashamed of it. Growing up, like people call me Shizu. And I was just like, wow, there's profanity in my name. Like that just sounds so like,
Oh my
I was
goodness.
so insecure about it. And then like bringing food from my mom, I always tell her to make sandwiches instead of like bentos.
Are you serious?
I'm serious because of the
Wow.
smell.
Wow.
I know. But like
It
when
makes
you-
sense though.
when you're a child, you are like, you just want to fit in and not stand out. And now like, stand out, girl.
Mm-hmm.
Like, shine.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, it's taken years to get over that,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you guys in a predominantly white area?
Yeah, we were.
Yeah. So
we
how
were.
was that for the little girl in you?
I mean, it's now in DC, it's still
It's-
predominantly. And in I'll be honest, like there's not a lot of, we're like 90% Asians in Vancouver, but I was in one community that was like, I felt, very much
Like an outsider?
Yeah, an outsider. And over the years, it's become more and more Asian because China has obviously started buying and Singapore and like all that. But I mean, in DC, I think like there are not as many Asians here either. So I think you get kind of used to it. But yeah. I don't know what it is. So I love going to Annandale. I love going to Spa World. We should go.
I love Spa
Oh my
World.
God. Isn't it
It's
amazing?
amazing.
And like
Yes.
those orange get-ups.
Yes.
And,
And
like-
getting in the water. You can just get
Yes.
butt naked and get in the water. And there's
Yes,
that crystal
jump in.
dome.
Yes.
Oh my God, let's go.
Let's go.
We're gonna go.
And eat bibimbap. Like, oh my God.
I've only been once, but
Yeah.
it blew my entire mind.
It's amazing.
I was like, what? How is this a thing?
Yeah.
And why am I just now finding out about
yeah,
it?
you can go on Groupon and buy some Spa Logics. Like, it's the most, and everyone looks the same, which is so amazing because then you don't judge people by how they're looking or wearing or any of that.
Yeah.
You are naked. We are all naked.
Right.
Your ass is showing.
Right. And we're all just in here trying to just get our self-care on and
Yeah.
just get in touch with ourselves.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that.
Awesome.
But as we wrap up, I would love to get 3 self-care tips that you would have said to your younger self.
Good question. Oh man, I always watch these in interviews about like how people tell themselves younger when they're younger. I think the first thing is like own your differences. That's like one big thing. Like just growing up again, like with my name and looking different, not having eyelids. I know that sounds crazy, but I am a mono eyelid Japanese girl. So that's own your differences.
And you are beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. And you are beautiful.
Thank you.
The second thing is that we are all of us are beautiful. And I think we need to tell ourselves that more often, and not in a social media disclaimer way and telling the world that you're beautiful, but just like really saying it to yourself that you are beautiful for this, and this reason, and owning it. I think the other self-care thing I would say for number 3 is that if you don't give yourself a chance now, then you'll never give yourself a chance in anything. So give yourself a chance. Like, know that you're smart enough. Know that you're you have enough support around you and people that will help you, and know that like you have all the power in the world. If you're listening to this, you have a phone, right? You're smart and you're able to do anything that even I or you are doing. Yeah, just do it in your own way.
I love that. Thank you, Shizu.
Thank you.
The Hey Girl podcast is a member of the District Productive, produced by Paul, Woody Woodhall, and me, Alex Elle. Music by DC's own Kokai.